You've been an athlete your whole life, right? Since you were a kid, that's what you're trained to do. But like we've said, the career span is short. And so the options going forward, can you talk about a little bit what can athletes look to do after their careers are over? And then also, what are some things that you're planning to do in your future after your career is over?
Well, I think for an athlete, you can use these sports to lead to a career after. I think there are, you have the football player, and then you have the entire business of football, which allows for the football player to go somewhere in that business.
Yeah.
And the same for a basketball player, whether that's TV, whether that's the front office, whether that's coaching, whether that's starting your own thing that somehow gives to that sport. I think there are several avenues, and then some guys you may not want to deal with it at all, when you're done. I think the most important thing for an athlete is understanding that while you're an athlete, there are several doors open to you. You need to go through those doors, build those relationships that are behind that door, because once you're done playing, those doors aren't open anymore just because you were an athlete. And so, when I spoke on Peter Guber, one thing Peter told me my rookie year, I'm pretty sure, he said, Draymond, capital is the most important thing in the world. But it's not the type of capital you're thinking about when I tell you capital is the most important thing in the world. Relationship capital is the most important thing in the world. Relationship capital goes much further than any dollar could ever take you. Relationship capital, build relationships. And so I think it is extremely important for athletes to build relationships while you are an athlete. Because once you build a relationship, the relationship doesn't end when you're an athlete. But if you're going to wait until you're done playing to then go build relationships, it doesn't work. And then you end up in a space of, what do I do next? Depression, all these different things about that one thing of where do I go from here? And so that's one thing that I've always tried to do is just build relationships. And it's not that you want something out of the relationship, but if you build so many relationships, Peter said, Draymond, you may work on this relationship over here tirelessly, and give and give and give and give and give, and nothing ever truly comes of it. But then something happens on this side, and you didn't do anything over there, but something happens over there. And you spent all your time building this relationship over here, but nothing ever happened. But then this thing over here just happened. Don't ever get it twisted. That thing over there never happened if you never spend your time building these relationships over here. And so I think that is extremely important for athletes, and especially young athletes, to understand and building relationships. For me personally, I've always said when I'm done playing basketball, I don't want to be on a basketball schedule. I've been on a basketball schedule my entire life. I'm now 30 years old. God willing, I'll play for another 7 or 8 years. And then I have another 40 to 50 years of life to figure out. I'm not sure I want that to be a basketball schedule, but I've been doing like some commentating lately. And or I wouldn't even say commentating, I would say more analyzing with TNT and doing some different things there. And it's been amazing. I've had so much fun. I'm able to share my knowledge of the game, which I think is important for me. Because I see so many times the knowledge of the game of basketball is lost. Whether it's talk shows, no one speaks facts on the game. It's all controversial. Whether you watch these young guys and every guy wants to shoot a three, or every guy wants to have the best handle or have the most hops, but can't think the game to save their life. I think thinking the game of basketball is a lost art. And so I always want to try to share my knowledge of the game. And so I've found a lot of fun in doing that. But even in doing that, I still wouldn't want to be on an exact basketball schedule in doing that. I do some investing off the court, which I've found to be pretty interesting. Just learning that business. We all think, man, I can just go invest in this company and it's going to do great. And yet there's millions of companies that fail per year. So the reality is these guys that you see, the Bill Gurleys of the world, the Ben Horowitz of the world, they are the absolute best at what they do.
Yeah.
And they've been studying this stuff, the David Sachs, they've been Shamath, they've been studying these things their entire lives.
Yeah.
And then they become great investors after they fail so many times. And so, I found a lot of fun in that and real estate, just doing different things in the real estate space. I found a lot of fun in. But I don't know, I think for me personally, as good as those jobs could be, or as fun as they could be, I like to lead people. And so, in saying that, maybe one day I'll be the CEO of a company or something, because I like to lead people. And that's kind of always been my calling card, is leading people to some specific goal, whether it's a championship in the NBA or whatever it is, leading people. And so that's something that I truly enjoy.
And I think that's important, because you didn't come into league being the best player in the league, but you have always led your team, and you have guys that look up to you that are older than you, that have been in the league for a long time. So that leadership is very important going forward. But maybe talk about, because we're always perfecting ourselves as leaders, right? And so what are some tools and resources that you use to educate yourself? I know that you have a great basketball IQ, you're known for that, but how did you translate that into your investment strategy? And what are some tools that you use to educate yourself so that you could make those best decisions for you?
I think in looking at investing, I try to take some things that I've learned from playing sports, and one which is understanding that you don't know everything. You don't know much. Like, there's so much more to know. Even in basketball, where I personally feel like I'm the top 2 smartest guys in the league, I can never say one, but just because I think LeBron is extremely smart, and just out of respect, I just can't put myself above him. But I think I'm definitely up there somewhere. And in saying that, there's so much that I don't know about the game of basketball. Like, there's always something else to know. And so in investing, it's no different. There's so many people so much smarter than me. Knowing what you don't know is one of the most undervalued things in the world. Simply knowing what you don't know. And so I understand that in investing, I don't know much at all. I probably don't know 1% of the information that I need to know to be a great investor. But what I do know is I know people that do. And I lean on them for advice. I lean on them to teach me. I follow them in things that they see and they think are successful. I know I don't know much. But there's a lot in me knowing that I don't know much. And so I think that is extremely important. And as a leader in basketball, I know that at any moment I can be wrong, and I'm not afraid to say to my teammates, yo, I was wrong, or for my teammates to say something and I'm immediately like, okay, let's do that. I think in being a great leader, you have to be a great listener.
Wow.
You can't lead someone if you can't listen to someone. Because eventually if you can't listen, and guess what? They're gonna flip on you, they're gonna feel away, they're gonna tune you out. You can't lead someone if you can't listen. And that takes me to a place where I grew up, which is Michigan State University. One of the things Coach Izzo first told me as a freshman, I came in and you could kind of just see the leadership qualities. And he would tell me, like, I see some qualities, you got great leadership qualities. But one thing he always told me is leadership is a very personable thing. You can't possibly be crazy enough to think you're going to lead this whole team, Draymond, the same way. You have to learn what pushes this guy's button. You have to learn what make that guy tick. You have to learn what may turn this guy off. If you yell at him, he may shut down. But if you go to him and tell him, hey man, like, that guy can't guard you. Why is he stopping you right now? That may be exactly what this guy over here needs. And on the other side over here, this guy may need to be screamed and yelled at all day in order to get what you need. But you can only figure that out by listening and getting to know that guy and seeing how you need to lead them. And so in leadership, I think it's just always understanding that you have to lead. On the basketball court, you have to lead specific guys. In a company, you have to lead groups. You know, so in a company, we may have a department that is 40 people. There's no way I can get to know all of those 40 people.
It's hard.
It's impossible.
Yeah.
You don't have the time to get to know 40 people in one department.
Right.
And you got another department over here of 140 people.
Right.
And then you got another department over here of 220. It's impossible for you to get to know all of those. So what do? You try to lead those groups. You get those groups together. That group usually has a group leader. You learn from that group the sentiments of the entire group, and you try to lead that group. But if you think you're going to lead all those groups the same way, it's not possible. And so that's one of the things that I really learned about leadership, and just understanding that you can't lead everyone the same way. And like I said, most importantly, listen to those that you have, or listen to those that you're trying to lead.